If you're new here, I'm Angela. This is my husband, Vince. We travel around full-time RV with our 2 rescue dogs and just kind of hit everywhere. We typically focus on like historical sites and kind of weird festivals, but just anywhere. We make a big loop every year, and this year's loop included Arkansas. And it's something that had been on my list for a long time. I'd been to Arkansas before. Had you been to Arkansas?
I have not. I've driven through it, but that was
Okay.
it. I wouldn't call that being there.
Yeah, so you'd seen the beauty of Arkansas, but you hadn't really been there. I'd been to Arkansas before, but the Crater of Diamonds had been on my list for a long, long time. And so it's a state park where you can actually go mine for your own diamonds. And yes, you do get to keep them if you find them. And yes, people do find them. So we started out rolling in, and we stayed there at the state park, which was a beautiful state park.
Yes.
The camping was incredible.
Camping was incredible. Starlink didn't
Starlink
work.
wasn't great.
Yeah. So if you're one that like if you work from home or something and you depend on having that internet service, for work or connectivity, it's going to be spotty at best. We'll put it that way.
And our backup hotspot that we keep on board too did not work because you are very rural. We had kind of phone service. Yeah. My T-Mobile phone went to Starlink texting. So it's remote, so you need to plan for that when you go.
That was a tough week for schoolwork.
Yeah, Vince is still using his GI Bill to get some school done. So we stayed there at Crater of Diamonds and said that if we found the diamond, it was going to be for our dog Gracie. And we dug. You go out, you pay your fee, you go out and you dig and get your basically mud because everything it's always wet there. So basically get your mud and carry your bucket of mud. You rent all your equipment, carry your bucket of mud over to the troughs that they have filled with water for you to sift it through. And, after a couple hours, your back's hurting pretty good from carrying mud and from leaning over and sifting that stuff.
And sifting it, with the water. I mean, it is...
but it is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It is a lot of fun. We found some gemstones, but we did not find the diamond.
I think we can say it's fun because we didn't have to rely on finding anything. Yeah. I don't think the Miner 49 or the California Gold Rush, I don't think they would have considered it fun, considering they needed to find that.
And there are people that actually go there every day, and that's like their job. We ran into some of them there that is what they do, and they know exactly where to pull the mud from and things like that to make the best of that, and we'd watch some videos on it to try to get the edge, and it just they pull about 2 diamonds a day out of there. Somebody did pull a diamond while we were there, but it was not us.
It wasn't us.
So that was a lot of fun, but we were there for a while, and there are a few other things around there too. We hit Hope, Arkansas, which if you're familiar at all with any kind of Arkansas history, that is where President Clinton was from, and so his birthplace national park site is there, and the home is there. So we went and toured that, and of course the dogs got their Bark Ranger tags. And it was interesting to tour and interesting to see what any president, we're never really, when we tour these historical sites, it's about the history. It's never about a party or anything.
Yeah.
So it was interesting to see what any president has been through and what led them to the office there. So that was a lot of fun too. And then we went over to the Washington parks, another state park.
Yes.
And you had an interesting talk with the blacksmith.
Yes. So what is it with blacksmiths? We just hear the tink, tink, tink.
Calls us
like
in.
in Camden. Yeah. But anyway, so they have a blacksmith on site, and one he's doing actual blacksmithing. So you get that historical thing, but he also maintains the park, so he's actually functional too. But anyway, so he's sitting there, and he's hammering back there, and unfortunately he wasn't allowed to go on camera to tell the story because he actually is a state employee. But there's a sign saying that the Bowie knife was made by this specific person in this blacksmith shop way back, in the 1800s. But we were also down in Louisiana, and we saw a plaque that said that the Bowie knife was made by a gentleman down there. So I asked him about that. I said, how is it that two places are claiming responsibility for creating the Bowie knife? And he said, well, that's interesting. So apparently it wasn't the first time he's got this question. Yeah. What it was the man there in Arkansas made this knife for Jim Bowie. Very popular. Everybody that saw it liked it. Everybody wanted a knife like Jim Bowie. So they would come up and say, I want a Jim Bowie knife. I want a knife like Jim Bowie. I want a Jim Bowie knife, which just got shortened to, I want a Bowie knife. And then other people started creating them too, and just calling them Bowie knives. The original was made in Arkansas. Another blacksmith down in Louisiana, I guess you could say, copied it and created the Bowie knife as well. But the original was made by a blacksmith in Arkansas.
Per the guy that works for
the guy, the blacksmith.
Arkansas State Park.
I'm sure there's some,
Yeah, we haven't really looked it up,
yeah.
so there might be a little bit of discrepancy there, and who knows? Maybe we'll hit somewhere in Texas and find it there.
Yeah,
too.
it's in Texas too, and then somebody in Tennessee, or
Yeah, I have no idea at this point. But then we were starting to run out of time. But then we saw this. Fouke, Arkansas has their monster, and it kind of went with this year's theme. We are headed to the Lurch Fest soon in West Virginia, and West Virginia has all their little crypto monsters and everything. And just
last year we hit Mothman.
Yeah, last year we hit Mothman. It's just kind of interesting, all the lore behind that stuff, and so that is their Bigfoot down there. And so there was a Monster Mart, so we had to head down to Monster Mart.
It was called the Boggy Creek Monster.
That was the movie that it was made after. It's the Fouke Monster.
Are you sure? I thought it wasn't called. Okay, I stand corrected.
But they did make a movie about it years ago down there, and then they have this Monster Mart that is basically the gas station that has all their artifacts in there. And I mean, if you're into this stuff and headed through that way, it's definitely worth the stop. Yeah. It definitely don't plan your trip to go to it, but, no. But it is worth the stop. And I guess around there too, you can hire a guide and go look for Bigfoot, look for Bigfoot, whatever. I don't think you're allowed to shoot. I don't know. Who knows? But
and just like with everywhere, like the Mothman Museum in Point Pleasant, this one, and videos we've seen for the Flatwoods Monster and all that, don't expect huge museums. Considering they've never found any of these, so there's obviously not going to be a lot of artifacts. They're very interesting.
It's a lot of the culture that goes along with them. It's like drawings, and in this one and the Mothman, there were like drawings that different people had done, different accounts. This one had the foot imprints that they do, the plaster castings, things like that. So it's kind of one place that brings it all together, and I think it's interesting. The culture of it and the lore of it. And some of the artwork is better than other parts of the artwork, but it's always interesting to see the culture behind it. So that was pretty much our Arkansas trip.
Yeah, unfortunately we didn't.
It was a quick trip, but
and unfortunately we didn't hit the mother lode at the Crater of Diamond.
Gracie didn't get her diamond, so she's pouting a little bit. But that was our Arkansas trip, and then we're going to head on up, like I said, to West Virginia, and we'll be in West Virginia for the Lurch Fest soon, and that should be very interesting as well.
Yeah.
So we hope to see you on the road. If we don't, we'll see you here next Saturday, most Saturdays. And thanks for watching.
And if you haven't already, please like and subscribe this video. It helps the algorithm and helps you see our videos easier.